Hello everyone, it's Andrew from Gem TCG here, and in today's video I'll be talking about a concept of focusing on a specific niche rather than having a wide variety of items for your reselling store. And the reason I bring this video up today is because when I first started selling Pokemon cards, I saw a video from Deep Pocket Monster and he said something about the riches are in the niches. So if you want to be successful in here, you have to focus on a very small niche. And at first, when I heard that video, I thought that was wrong. And I thought you should try to sell as many things as you can so that you have a bigger variety of customers. And ended up going a different route. But I think what he said made a lot of sense. And when I actually focused on that and actually implemented that, it worked well for my store. And I will explain how and why that happened. And also, if you need help starting and growing your eBay stores or you need a consistent source for sealed product and collections, feel free to join the Patreon with the link in the description. So, back to that video I was talking about from Deep Pocket Monster. This was a few years ago, and that was one of his pieces of advice from the video I saw. And it was kind of extreme from what, or at least from what I remember. He was saying like if you want to just sell oddish cards, only sell those and focus your whole store on that. If you want to sell error cards, only focus on that. Just very small things. And I think he was just using those as examples. I don't think he was actually saying you should only sell this one character and focus on that for your whole store. Maybe if you're doing it as a hobby, but to make an actual income from it, I don't know if that's what he was implying or saying. So I don't want to take that out of context, but it just made me think of this idea of should you focus on a specific niche or should you just sell anything and everything? And one of the other videos I made was the top 4 ways to make money from selling Pokemon cards. And I kind of break it down there. So if you're interested, check that one out. And just spoiler, the 4 things I was talking about were sealed product, raw singles, graded singles, and then bulk, I think those are the 4. And to go back to when I first started selling, I was kind of just buying everything and trying to sell whatever I could. I would buy loose booster packs, collections from people, graded card collections, modern stuff, vintage stuff, bulk. I was doing everything mainly because I had a lot of time and I didn't really understand what I was doing fully because I was so new to this. But I was literally buying anything I could find and then sell it on eBay or TCG Player or even Facebook Marketplace at the time. And while it did work, I think it kind of held me back because I wasn't quickly learning things and I was not having a consistent approach. So I didn't know what works best for collections and what works best for sealed product, how to buy and sell those in the best way, how to package them all in the best way. And I think that kind of slowed me down in the beginning. And then when I saw that video from Deep Pocket Monster, I think it didn't make something click initially, but then over time I kind of thought back on it and I was like, okay, maybe if I focus on a specific thing, I will see more success there and then maybe I could grow after that instead of just trying to succeed in 5 different fields and then grow them all at the same time. So the approach I took was only buying vintage, like Wizards of the Coast bulk and rares and hollows, like everything from those few sets from 1999 to 2001. And what I quickly realized is that when you only focus on a certain thing, you can quickly build up your inventory to scale that field. So then when people are looking to buy those cards and they find your store, they will be able to find a lot of cards that they need, which will lead to bigger orders, which means more profit for you. Rather than, let's say I bought 10 cards from WotC era, 10 modern ultra rares, and then 10 XY era cards. If someone's coming to my store looking for XY era cards, they'll see I have 30 cards total, but I only have 10 for XY. Rather than if they were looking for XY era cards and I had all entire XY era cards, then they'd be able to buy 30 from me instead. And this goes for any example, sealed product, graded cards, raw cards, all of that. So what I learned from that is like just by focusing on this one area and growing your inventory to a huge amount will get you bigger sales and make you more money. And also save me a lot of time too, because instead of like looking around trying to buy everything and trying to understand the market prices for everything, I only had to learn Wizards of the Coast cards. And I quickly learned how like each card sells, which sets are most popular, how much I could pay for each card without having to like take a loss or make a risk with buying them. And once I started doing that, I ended up having like probably like 20,000 Wizards of the Coast cards. Majority of them were bulk commons and uncommons, but I did source a lot of rares and hollows like and first editions in quite a short time, because another good thing is that when you are focused on a specific niche, people recognize you and they know to refer you to other people. So let's say, and this happens for me a lot, let's say someone made a post and they're like, "Oh, I'm buying bulk," and they just made a post in a Facebook group. Many times, people that have sold to me before will tag me in that post or let them know that I am someone that buys bulk and they should reach out to me. And this helps for two reasons. One is people like buying from people or dealing with people that they trust, and by being referred to from someone that they already know, it builds an immediate trust level, which then makes it easier for us to just like negotiate and have a get a deal going. And the other thing is it expands your reach. So by having other people vouch for you and refer you to people that are selling or buying stuff, it allows you to then have more connections and find collections to buy or sell a lot quicker and easier. Like there have been many times where someone would reach out to me because someone referred them, and then we would get a deal going. They'd even sell it for like cheaper sometimes just because they know they could trust me, or they like that I had a good like transaction with their friend or someone they knew online. So stuff like that, very it really helps. And it also works with the selling aspect. Like let's say someone's looking to buy, for my example, a base set Charizard. They'll say, "Oh, Andrew knows a bunch, like Andrew has a bunch of Wizards of the Coast cards. He probably has a Charizard." Then they would reach out to me, get a quick sale, and it's very easy. So it's very good to focus down and then be recognized for focusing down. So you need to make it public that you are in that field, I guess. And then, so once you focus down, it might sound like, oh, if I focus on this small niche, whatever, then it will limit my sales and it would make it hard to like grow your store, which is what I thought too, because I was like, okay, if I only sell Wizards of the Coast, I am trapped to these like 8 sets. So it is valid to think that, but it is not correct. And I will explain it now, because when I focused on the WotC era, I was only buying cards in that era, which then led to me having a huge inventory. And then once I had so much to where it was like anytime I would buy collections and I would update my inventory, it would go from having like 40 in stock to then like 43 in stock. I was like, okay, I am just buying inventory now and I have so much already listed. So what I did then is then I started expanding, and then I focused on modern cards, specifically modern ultra rares, and like at the time it was like the V Max, V Star, all those cards. Because then I was like, okay, I could afford to slow down on buying the WotC era cards because I have so much of them, and I can then focus on a new niche to buy from. So now, while I had the WotC era established, I was growing the modern cards too. And then I repeated that same process, kept buying cards, making new listings for these cards. If you look at my store, it kind of makes sense. And like you'll see the overall categories. Like I had the WotC era, and then I had the Sword and Shield era. And then once I expanded the Sword and Shield era, I started focusing on Sun and Moon, because I was building up a lot of inventory from bulk that I was buying, and people would leave their Sun and Moon cards in there, and XY too, but that was a later thing. And then I just started making listings for Sun and Moon era cards. Then once I listed all those and I had like 10,000 Sun and Moon era cards listed, I started listing my XY era bulk that I sourced over the years because people would include it in their bulk. And I never wanted to focus on listing it because I already had so much stuff listed and I was kind of focusing on certain things. So I didn't find the time to do it. So that's my answer to that. If you do focus on a niche, you can always expand eventually once you master it or become like almost like an expert in that niche. And it's also a lot easier to do it that way because if you're trying to buy all these different cards at once, you're not really going to learn much, and it's going to be very draining to have to understand how all the markets work and understand the ins and outs of each thing. Because it may sound simple, like you buy a card, check what the value is on TCG Player, list it for that same amount or like markup on eBay, and then repeat the process all the time. But there is more involved than just the market price. And I've talked about that in another video before with like it's titled like why market prices can be deceiving or something like that. And this is because at least for TCG Player with WotC cards, if you look at the market price, it will show you like let's just say a card is worth $20 and that's what it will show you. If you actually look at it, that's what the first edition card is worth. But then if you look at the unlimited version, it's a lot cheaper. And if you're just trying to like do the same method for everything, you would miss that most likely. And you would be listing all of your unlimited cards at first edition prices, which will then lead to less sales. So there's just like little details like that that will hold you back if you are trying to expand too much and have a huge variety of inventory rather than focusing on something and learning it all the way before you expand. And this could probably go with other industries too, like the graded cards. Graded cards would be most similar, but maybe sealed product is different because usually it's like the most recent set is the most in demand, and then everything else sells the same, I would assume. I'm not an expert with sealed products, so I can't speak on that. And last piece of advice or like information I want to share for this is that a lot of my sales are within the same niche. So like I would never get a sale or like I would rarely get a sale that's like a Japanese slowpoke with a English Raichu, all from different sets, different rarities and like stuff like that. But you may get a order that's a bunch of Raichus together, or a bunch of VMAX cards together, or a bunch of Neo Revelation cards together. But you won't really see a huge mix, like someone buying Neo Revelation with a VMAX, like a modern to a vintage card set, is what I'm explaining, and like a different character. So that's why it doesn't really make sense to have that huge variety when you're first starting off because people won't be mix and matching with those types of cards, but they will be mix and matching with within a certain rarity or a certain set. So if you get a bunch of VMAX cards listed, you will get like a lot of sales that are multiple cards at a time. Same with same with the different set listings. Like if you have a bunch of cards from Neo Destiny, you will see orders where people are completing their set and they're buying like 20 to 40 cards at a time. But of course, to get those big sales, you need to have a lot of inventory within those like sets and rarities. If you only have 5 different cards for Neo Destiny, and then you have 5 VMAX cards and 5 Japanese Diamond and Pearl era cards, it's going to be hard for people to mix and match and like order a bunch of cards at the same time because your selection is too limited in what they're actually looking for. You might have thousands of cards listed, but you only have 5 that these people can order all together. And that is something you want to be aware of when you're getting your inventory in, especially if you're limited on capital. Like for me, fortunately, I have a lot of excess capital now to where I could buy large collections and I don't really have to be as cautious on what I'm buying because I could just list it and comfortably wait for it to sell. But for you guys with like less capital, available, and this is how I was too at the beginning, you have to be very selective with what you're ordering, because if you only have, let's just say, like $500 available, and then you buy a $400 collection with, let's just say 10 or 100 cards in there, and 20 of them are from WotC era, 20 are from Diamond and Pearl era, 20 from Sun and Moon, and like so on. It will probably be very hard to sell those in a quick manner, because it's the variety is spread out so much that it's going to be hard for people to bundle those cards together in a single order, and you will most likely be getting a lot of one card sales, which is still fine, but it's eating into your profit margins. And the most profitable orders you will be getting, just in general, are when people buy like 10 plus cards at a time, especially if you're selling cheaper cards. Now, if you're selling like $100 card and someone just buys one card, that's fine. But if you're selling the cards in the $5 to $20 range, you're going to want to be selling 10 plus cards at a time, because then you're saving a lot on shipping and just getting an overall bigger order, so you get more capital to then reinvest. So to sum this video up, I would say what you need to do is focus on a specific niche when you're first starting off and when you have a low amount of capital to start with. So that way you can fully understand it, and then also build up an inventory for your store and build up a reputation for buying and selling those cards. And then once you feel like you've specialized in it and you fully understand that niche and you have so much inventory within that, then start expanding on another one. And then keep repeating that process until you get to a huge scale. And then you could just buy and sell everything. And when it comes to picking your first niche to focus on, I would say either start with, like, if you're a collector, start with something that you already collect or already have a bunch of cards with, or like in. So let's say you collect error cards, then you could focus on just those and buy and sell error cards. Or let's say you collect Sun and Moon hollow rares or alt arts or full arts, whatever. Focus on that and then continue to build on that. So that way you are starting with something you enjoy already, and you will most likely know it if you're collecting it, which will then allow you to like understand it quicker and scale it faster. But yeah, that's about it for this video. I hope you guys found it helpful, and comment down below what niche you like to focus on and what niche you, maybe if you already did this, have started on in your eBay reselling journey or TCG player. But yeah, thank you all for the support, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye.